word okay is just used way too often. And for me, it came to a head when I used to use that word. And why do we use it? It's tradition. That's what everybody taught way back at the turn of time when we started training dogs. And it's been handed on down and nobody's given it a second thought. Why do I use the word okay? I was taught that. It's been taught for hundreds of years that way. But let's do things intentionally with our dogs. And if you're sitting there saying, oh, I already taught the word okay, don't worry. I'm going to share with you how you can simply change it. So I was, with my first 3 dogs, I would take them for walks, and if it was muddy, I'd have them all hang out on a mat by the front door. And I would go up, and I did a lot of work from home, and I would work from home. And when an hour or so would go by and I'd figure they would dry, I would say, okay, come on up. The challenge happened when if I'd get on the phone and I'd start laughing, okay. And then all these dirty dogs would run up the stairs and I'd be like, what the H-E-double hockey sticks are you doing? And I'd realize, oh, I was talking to my friend and suddenly I did say, okay. So if you then get mad because they released, well, that's just a really poor release word. One of the most common words that you use in everyday life. You want to have a very specific meaning to your dog. It really is a poor choice of words to use in dog training. So I changed almost instantly when I had that realization. I changed all of my dog's release words to the word break. It's a word I don't use very often. You can pick any word, and the tone makes a difference. So I've heard people say release, and that's not a tone you normally talk in unless you are an auctioneer or a 5-gate horse trainer. Pick a word or a tone that means something different. So I have friends that use the word free, which means you're free now to move, which sounds like a great word. It makes sense to you, but if you are one of my online students or are thinking about being one of my online students at any point in the future, I strongly encourage you do not use the word free, because every one of our programs, one of our foundation games is the 1, 2, 3 game. And we play it all different sorts of ways. I might say 1, 2, 3, get it. I might say 1, 2, 3, 3, get it. To see if they're really listening for the word get it or break. It depends on what I'm playing. So if your word is free, you're asking your dog to differentiate between 1, 2, 3, free. A little unfair. So I don't recommend that word. Break is the one that I use. Break. And again, I recommend you pick a word that isn't commonly used. Now let's talk about changing things up so you get some clarity to your dogs. And when you have clarity, the words coming out of your mouth are no longer like Charlie Brown's teacher. Wah, wah, wah. The words have meaning, and your dogs will respond to them because they're only used in certain situations. All right, we're going to ask your dog to sit. They know what the word okay means. You're going to ask your dog to sit, and then you're going to say the word break, which means nothing to them. But you're going to follow that up with the word okay, and you're going to then reward them. So sit. You can move around if you want to, do a little bit of a hold position until I release you game. And then you're going to say break, and they shouldn't move if they're really good at their understanding of sit. Then say the word okay and reward them. Move to a new location, practice it again. After doing this, so I would say do it 5 times at once, and then don't do it at all, right? That's it. We're going to do it again in maybe an hour or 2 hours. And whenever you think about it, you're on your way from the TV to the refrigerator, of course, only to get juice-infused water, nothing else. And do it a couple times there. What happens, dogs are brilliant. They are programmed to predict what's going to happen next. They are brilliant at picking up patterns of reinforcement. And so they will learn that break is a predictor of the word okay. And depending on how well you've taught the word okay, it might take several sessions. It might take 2 or 3. It might take a week of this. So first dogs, I had trained the word okay pretty well. So it took a little bit to get them convinced I really did mean it. You can move on the word break. But they will figure it out. And then you just drop saying the word okay. Once you've got them moving out of position on the word break, dun, da, da, you now have a brand new cue that is meaningful, that you're moving your release word from the category of possibly confusion, unsure, or worse yet, just ignore it, to the category of this is something I respond to, not just once, but every time. And that's how we get a brand new effective cue.